Marco Rubio has been warning America for over a decade, not in vague terms, not with the kind of carefully hedged language that lets a politician say something without actually committing to anything. Plainly, specifically, with names and dates and consequences attached. And for most of that decade, the response was the same. Silence, dismissal, the polite institutional shrug that Washington reserves for people who say uncomfortable things at inconvenient times. Nobody wanted to hear it, and now they don't have a choice. Here is what Rubio was saying while nobody was listening. Iran is not just a regional problem. It is not a manageable threat that can be contained through careful diplomacy and periodic sanctions. It is a regime run by radical clerics whose entire ideological framework is built around one premise. The United States is the enemy, not an obstacle, not a competitor. The enemy, the chief source of evil on the planet, in their own words, and a regime that believes that does not negotiate in good faith. It uses negotiations as cover. It uses agreements as breathing room. Every deal that was supposed to slow Iran down, every framework that was supposed to constrain its nuclear ambitions, every diplomatic achievement that Washington celebrated, Iran treated those as pauses, tactical retreats while it rebuilt, restocked, and continued along the same trajectory. Rubio saw this clearly. He said it out loud, and the foreign policy establishment told him he was being alarmist. The warning was specific. Even a week in Iran, an Iran under maximum economic pressure, an Iran whose currency had collapsed and whose population was restless, was still attacking airports, still hitting hotels, still striking U.S. military bases and American embassies directly, still going after civilian infrastructure that had nothing to do with military operations. That was Iran at its weakest point in decades. Rubio's question was simple. What does a stronger Iran look like? A year from now, with the sanctions eroding. 18 months from now, with a ballistic missile program building 1 missile per day. 2 years from now, with the nuclear program crossing thresholds that cannot be walked back. With proxy networks fully resupplied across Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, and Yemen, the trajectory had one destination. Everyone in that room knew it. Nobody wanted to say it on the record. Rubio said it anyway. And then there is the ideological dimension, the part that is hardest to hear, and therefore the part that gets buried most consistently. Radical Islamic movements do not want to corner the world to manage. History does not support that assumption. Every time this ideology has gained territory, it has pushed outward. Every time it has achieved power over population, it has used that power as a base to extend its reach further. It is, as Rubio described it, revolutionary in its nature. It does not recognize the legitimacy of a peace it has not imposed. It does not recognize the finality of borders it has not yet crossed. And the United States, in this framework, is not a potential partner in a negotiated settlement. It is the primary target. It is what must be defeated for the ideology's goals to be realized. Washington spent decades building policy on the assumption that this wasn't true, that with the right incentives, the right frameworks, the right diplomatic architecture, the regime could be brought into a manageable relationship with the international community. Rubio said that assumption was wrong. He said it consistently. He said it when it was unpopular. He said it when the foreign policy establishment rolled its eyes. He said it when his own political base sometimes didn't want to hear about another Middle East problem. He kept saying it. The warning was not just about Iran. It was about the pattern. About what happens when you allow a threat to grow because acting on it is politically inconvenient. About what the window of strategic advantage looks like when it is open versus when it has closed. About the specific, calculable difference between acting while you have the advantage and waiting until the cost of acting has become catastrophically high. Iran's ballistic missile program was building 1 missile per day. Their air force was intact. Their navy was operational. Their proxy networks were active across 4 countries. That was a trajectory Rubio had been warning about for 10 years. In 21 days, that trajectory was reversed. The missile program gone. The air force gone. The navy gone. The warning turned out to be right. Here's the part that should make everyone uncomfortable. It was always right. The evidence was never hidden. The intelligence was never ambiguous. The regime's stated goals were never a secret. They stated them publicly, repeatedly, in their own language, for anyone willing to read the translation. Rubio read it. He reported what he read. He kept reporting it for a decade, while the institutions that were supposed to act on that information found reasons not to. The question is not whether the warning was accurate. The question is why it took so long for anyone to listen, and why the same pattern, the same dismissal, the same institutional inertia, the same preference for managing a growing threat over resolving it, is almost certainly playing out right now with the next threat that nobody wants to hear about. Rubio warned America. For 10 years, the bill for not listening came due.